Kids podcast. I'm your host, Kev Sotera. This is the podcast where we talk to everyone about everything. The wonderful music you're hearing right now is by the wonderful Tom Perel. Please give him a shout on fucking Spotify and Bandcamp and YouTube. And I am so tired. It's episode 9, episode 10 coming up, season finale. Hope you guys are enjoying it so far. And I don't really got much to say. Let's just fucking jump right into
it. The ceremony has commenced.
The ceremony has commenced. Welcome, everybody, to the Cool Kids podcast. I'm your host, Kev Salvatierra. And today, I got a very special guest. I always say that with every guest.
Special.
But, very special. Here with me, I have a good, longtime friend. The lead guitarist for my band. We've still yet to make anything, so whoops. But we have just a fantastic human being in general, a great friend, someone great to talk to, really just vent to. You've acted as my therapist essentially like a few different times, honestly.
I tend to be a lot of people's therapist, even though I should be the one in therapy.
Hey,
let's be honest here.
I believe that. I'm the same too. Here I have the wonderful Jess Bertan. Jess.
Hello.
Any words for yourself?
Kev, you gassed me up too much. First of all, you just made me sound like a contributing member of society, and I am street trash.
No, you're giving yourself too much. You're giving yourself too much shit. You're honestly such a fun person from the day that I met you up until onwards now. And, fuck you. I get to gas up anyone.
Fuck you, Kev. Fuck you
yourself.
Back. No, not fuck me, fuck you.
Whoa.
No, fuck me. Whoa.
My God.
Mind blown.
Stop. Jesus. Anyways,
Stop it.
I got my wonderful friend. We met like a long time ago. I mean, it seems like short to me. I met you. You're 18, right? You're just
yes,
a year younger than me.
Barely legal.
I met you in I was about to say 8th grade. I met you in 11th grade and I was in 12th grade. But you were dope as fuck from the first time that I met you. You had this tank top that had your zodiac sign on it, and I was like, this chick probably knows a few things.
I did.
You know? Probably knows my character before I even fucking do. That's
definitely. If you let me see your birth chart, I will be able to tell you exactly where your past and future trauma is and will be.
That's exactly what you fucking did to me. Like, holy shit. You have so much knowledge of, like, this astrological zodiac birth chart, fucking stars aligning shit. It honestly scares me.
I am the wise man on the mountain. That is me. That is my trope.
The amount of times my friends have come to you to get a reading of some sort, a judgment of character, has been fucking insane. You've literally given my girlfriend, my best friend, Abby. We love Abby.
Love Abby. Love Claire.
You've given them entire reading, both tarot card reading and just regular astrological, when were you born? Oh, so you're a Pisces.
That is
Cancer.
That is my toxic trait, Kiev. My toxic trait is meeting someone for the first time and then immediately compulsively asking them, what time were you born? Like I'm some sort of stalker psychopath.
It's not really, it's not toxic. I wouldn't say it's toxic. I would say it's interesting.
Sure.
Right?
Sure, it adds some spice to my character, as if I needed any more.
Wow.
As if I weren't spicy enough.
I think it adds something to talk about, automatically. So many people.
True. It's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, so many people, they go to that shit now. They always ask what's your sign, when were you born, that type of shit, just to get a full reading of them, because really I used to be such a non-believer.
A skeptic?
Yeah, a skeptic. Fuck you. I'm a Scully. But I used to be such a skeptic about this shit, right? And then I realized that it actually is kind of a weird way, just a base character judgment that you can like tell from
definitely.
someone just from all this shit. And I want to ask you like essentially why do you do it specifically, and how do you find it to be like, you know, such an accurate way of like telling what a person is?
That is an excellent question, Kiev. So here's what I have found. So me personally, I've been into, I just recently sort of got into tarot, but in terms of astrology, I have been into it for a while. Like I would say since maybe like middle school, I started like getting into it. And then like at that point, I was just kind of dabbling in like daily horoscope or like stuff like that. It wasn't really like serious by any means. But what I've found is TikTok actually has really brought it into like popularity and stuff. But there, and here's the big but, the giant but is that it's like people are using it now as a tool to judge other people. So like one thing, like for example, in my journalism class, I've like everyone knows me as the astrology girl, and so many people have come to me to like read their charts. But mainly what people love to hear about is compatibility. So like I also know how to do like compatibility chart readings, because there's certain like aspects and stuff that you can look at your chart and someone else's chart and it kind of determines compatibility. But astrology shouldn't be used as a tool to judge other people. That's like what it really boils down to. So I got into it as almost like a coping mechanism, almost like a form of therapy, because astrology is a tool for self-reflection. It's like an introspective tool that you use to kind of look at your chart, and it's empowering because it points out where your natural strengths are. And so for someone who might be feeling like, I don't know, worthless or feeling like they're not good at anything, looking at your chart points out where your strengths are. But at the same time, it also shows you what kind of things you need to work on, like on yourself. So for me, for example, I have a Capricorn moon placement, right? And your moon sign represents how you express your emotions and how you communicate them, how you process them, all that good stuff. And a Capricorn moon is kind of a difficult placement to have because it makes you very like apprehensive to like expressing your emotions. You always kind of have like a wall up, and it prevents you, like even if you feel things really deeply, you like me personally, I have such a hard time like reaching out to people because I always feel like, oh, they don't actually care that much. Like everyone is so wrapped up in their own little worlds that there's no way they could possibly care about mine. So I will just like suffer in silence. But I've realized that that's really something that I have to work on. And astrology as a whole, really, that's what its main purpose is for, is to like just kind of evaluate yourself. And a lot of people, and again, I think this might have to do with TikTok, because a big like trend on TikTok is to like, I don't know, like what signs are most compatible, like stuff like that. And again, like I don't even like it when people say, oh, I would never be friends with this sign, because when you look at astrology, any sign can get along with any sign. It's not black and white. It's not like just because I'm a Libra, I will never be able to get along with a Cancer. Like, yeah, look at us. We're like that. We're tight, you know?
Tight. We're tight as fuck, bro.
We're tight. We're tighter than a Gorilla Grip coochie, if you know what I'm saying. But like, yeah. So I don't know. I really don't like when people use it as a tool to be prejudiced. That's what it is. It's like people use it as a way to like express judgment or prejudice, or they'll say like, oh, this sign is like toxic. Like, no, it's not. People are toxic. Signs are not toxic. Like, I
agree with that, honestly. Like, I know I just said, like, it's a good way of judge a character, but, like, I was saying it in the sense of, like, you know, like, not judging someone immediately after, you know, just finding out they're Cancer and just going like, oh my god, he's a Cancer? Gross. Like, I was talking about it in the sense of, like, oh, okay, so, like, here are things that I could expect, right? But obviously, I'm not going to just say, like, oh, so if he's Capricorn, he's fucking annoying and dumb and ugly, right? Like,
no, Capricorns are not ugly, Kiev. Capricorns,
I don't know any of
Timothy,
this shit. I
Timothy
really
Chalamet, like, David Bowie.
Oh, God bless him.
But, like, I get what you mean. Like for me, for example, when I find out someone's sign, if anything, it kind of like, because I kind of like have all the traits of all the signs like memorized, but if anything, it allows me to be able to communicate with people better, if I'm being honest, because you kind of know what will work best with them, if that makes sense, or like what they're into, what their communication style is. And that kind of helps you, it helps you be empathetic, really. Like that's what I use it for. When I find out someone's sign, it's more so that I know how to understand them. Because I think the worst thing is when you've met someone for the first time and like there's like a miscommunication or you guys don't really understand each other that well. So I personally try and use it so that way I just get like a more personal idea of how this person is. That way I can like effectively get along with them and make them feel like heard and seen and understood. That's like my main goal. So again too, like something else is that a lot of people, this is something that really irks me. So many people are so quick to write off astrology because they're like, oh, but it's so general. Like, you know, each sign is made for everyone to like relate to it. But here's another big but.
Big butt.
So many big butts. Like
big asses.
Love me some big butts, you know? but like, it's like people only know about your sun sign. Like that is like the most basic definition of astrology for most people is they only think they have one sign. Like, honey,
because there's
bitch,
there's more to it.
Yeah, bitch, you have 12.
You taught me essentially that there's way
so
more than that, and it helped me like believe in it a little bit more when like
it's so nuanced. Yeah. Like it's so nuanced and it's so unique to you. And like I don't know if I've told you this before, but this is like the analogy that I like to use. I like to say the same kind of plant will grow differently if it's under the shade of a tree versus 2 feet away in direct sunlight. So, and that's kind of like how it is. It's like we're all the same people, but it's like the sky was different when you popped out of your mama's womb. Like, yeah. So we're different. Like
that was some wise ass shit you just said there.
I know. I always say wise shit. I always say wise shit, and then I ruin it by like saying
big ass.
Yeah, big butt.
Dude,
like,
big ass is in the chat, bro.
I know.
No, but like I think one thing that I do appreciate about you is that you do have such like a large intelligence when it comes to like
big brain. Check out the big brain on Brett.
Fuck off.
Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you.
One thing you'll learn to find out about Jess is that she is essentially a rejected Quentin Tarantino character that has come to life.
Well,
and if Quentin Tarantino were to make a mid-2000s movie, it would be Jess. Like,
less racist and less misogynistic. Let's say that. Let's not dance around it. Tarantino, I know what you're up to.
He likes his feet, man. He likes his feet, not the woman attached.
Don't we all? Don't we all like our feet?
But like I think it's very cool that you have such a knowledge about all this stuff because like astrology in itself is just very interesting. Right? Just being able to see all these different signs and how there's even more signs attached to people. And, like, I think social media did have, like, a weird impact on it, right? I've seen it, like, more and more now where it's just like, oh, when you're talking to a guy that's a Capricorn Virgin Moon, or Virgo Moon.
Virgin Moon?
Virgin Moon.
Ew. Ew.
But it's just like, yeah, people use it all the time to judge people. And like, I don't even know if I told you about like the many instances I've had, especially in the beginning week of uni. I fucking hate how they ask everyone like, oh, what's your zodiac sign during like the little icebreaker week where you don't really do work, you just try to get to know the class.
None of my profs ask me. I ask my profs what their sign is. That's the power move. Wow. That's what I do. I know the signs of all of my profs.
Fucking
and
weirdo.
If I'm too shy to ask, I get a bold person in my class to ask.
Jesus
like I need to know. It's compulsive. But you know what it is too? Like
what?
It sometimes I get insecure about it if I'm being honest. Like because I feel like even though it's become more mainstream, a lot of people are still skeptical, and a lot of people will be really quick to write me off as like a bimbo ditz.
Well, that's because like the social media aspect of it all too,
yeah.
right? I haven't had many interactions like with people like that, but the few, like I said, when I was in uni and they asked like the zodiac signs of people, whenever I said I was a Cancer, immediately I would hear a big sigh and like a chuckle roll out in the class. I was like, dude, come the fuck on.
I mean, to be fair, Kiev, I would probably chuckle, but like that doesn't mean I'm not gonna be your friend.
Dick
like,
ass. Fuck you.
Sorry, you're a Cancer. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
But I'm just saying.
Cry.
But like that type of like action is, you can see it online a lot, which is why there's always a side of people that are just like, oh, you know, you're this, whatever. And also a bunch of people going like, oh, what the hell? Why are these people judging everyone just because they're a fucking Virgo? Like, what a bunch of weirdos, like bimbo dits, as you said.
I don't know. I feel like I am like sort of that. I don't want to say I'm sort of smart. Like, I don't want to say that because like smart people don't say they're smart, but like I feel like I'm not a total idiot. I mean, even though sometimes I am. I
can
sort
be
of
an
am,
idiot, but everyone else can also be a fucking idiot. So it's not like you're not the only one. You're not too special, right? Fuck.
Definitely. I was actually kind of nervous to like do the podcast because this is some astrology bitch shit. But like we're currently in Mercury retrograde, and I don't know if you know what that means, but that means technology and communication are basically just fucking like ass backwards right now. They are bass backwards. So
bass backwards.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that. This whole Mercury retrograde thing, because this is like, I feel like the second time I've heard this happen. Like there was the point
it happens
last
pretty
year.
Often.
Yeah, and there was that point last year where it happened. Everyone was freaking out. But to put into perspective how you just said with the Mercury retrograde, like, what does that mean? Because what I hear essentially, like you said, communication technology is ass backwards. Does that mean everyone's more prone to fuck up communicating with each other, especially with technological shit added onto it?
Yes. So I'll tell you exactly what it means. So anytime you hear that a planet is in retrograde, basically what it means is if all of the planets usually, I forget if they move clockwise or counterclockwise in the sky, but like whatever they usually do, it gives an illusion that the planet is moving backwards. So it's almost like it's going like against the grain. It isn't actually, like it's going like with the grain, but it's just the illusion in the sky from us on Earth that it's moving backwards. And so basically what that means is whatever planet is in retrograde, whatever that planet represents, and Mercury represents communication, technology, all that stuff. All of that stuff is going to be like not good. Like no bueno,
so
you know?
It's like fucking opposite day, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. So like, and like common themes with like Mercury in retrograde are like not being able to articulate yourself properly, or like maybe like fumbling with your words a lot in like conversation, or technology just like randomly crashing for like no reason, or I don't know, like technology like just fucking up like out of nowhere, out of the blue for no apparent reason. And yeah, it's just like a lot of like miscommunications happen during Mercury retrograde because you might say one thing, but everyone else might interpret it a different way. And so, yeah, there's like a lot of like miscommunications and stuff. Another common theme is that exes from the past will hit you up, which I've gotten hit up by a couple exes.
Fun shit.
Yeah, so watch out for that, because even if it might be nice to hear from them, it's temporary. It's not like a permanent thing that they're like reaching out. It's just because like Mercury kind of, again, it makes you like, it just like fixate on the past too. So exes will like hit you up and communication will be weird and you might like misinterpret what their intentions are for hitting you up. It's just a big mess.
I'm hoping none of my exes hit me up. So far in the last Mercury retrograde, I haven't been hit up by any of my exes, so good shit, right?
Yeah.
But
or like another thing. So this is actually kind of crazy. So another like deadly one. So I don't know if we have one coming up. Usually there's like one per year. It's Venus retrograde. That one is such a shitstorm because so Venus is like the planet of like relationships, right? And so your relationships will get fucked.
God
like they will get like
why the fuck you gotta
like
say
fucked like a whore.
God, that sucks. That's dick
we're not
as
in
fuck.
Venus retrograde right now, but like like I got broken up with during Venus retrograde, and like it was such a big mess because you won't even understand why. It's just not working. Like and there's no like explanation for it. That's like the most frustrating thing with retrogrades. It's like things are going wrong, but there's no reason for it. And like as soon as things like right themselves, so Mercury retrograde usually lasts like 3 weeks. I think this one lasts until like I think February like 22nd, I want to say. But as soon as things right themselves, you're like, what happened? Like, where did I go wrong? I lost a friend.
Ugh, well,
I know how to save a life.
That fucking sucks. Way to give everyone a lot of hope. Who knew astrology would be so depressing? Fuck all these dumbasses.
If anything, like the grand takeaway from astrology is it just like gives life a deeper meaning. It's like, it's almost like, so I am taking a philosophy class in school right now, and it is called it is called Existentialism, Art, and Culture. So we are learning about existentialism, and it's kind of like things in life that give your life meaning. And existentialism really focuses on like you personally, and it gives like nihilists, for example. Like nihilism is kind of like the belief that everyone is like a big hole of nothingness, pretty much. I might be wrong. Like I'm not a nihilist.
No, you're about on par. I took philosophy in high school. So it's the same thing.
But yeah, like existentialism more so, yeah, it's like similar. Well, you probably know it better than I do then because I'm taking existentialism. But yeah, existentialism is more focused on the self and giving your own personal life meaning. And I think that astrology is like an awesome tool for that because again, you look at your entire chart and you're like, wow, I am composed of so many different unique pieces and they all fit together to make me who I am. And that in itself is very satisfying and very fulfilling because it just allows you to get to know yourself better, which is nice, especially during the pandemic because it's given everyone so I think that's another reason why astrology has gotten so popular during the pandemic because people have just been like forced to sit at home alone by themselves for like months on end, right? So the only thing you really have to do is get to know yourself to like the best degree that you can. So astrology is a really great tool for that. And I'm happy that a lot of people are turning to it because it makes me seem less like a crackhead when I bring it up. but
you're not a crackhead at all. But
oh, thank you, Kyo.
That's
I don't believe you, but thank you.
That's a good takeaway from, the astrology and everything. You mentioned before that you were in journalism class.
I am.
I think journalism's a lot of fun. It's
a lot of fun. I love it.
When I did have it in media studies, I always thought like, wow, this is actually pretty interesting. This is the one thing I didn't think I would find interesting. But like, I think we were talking about it before and we were just like, I think either you or me said that journalism is essentially like professional like paparazzi. Almost.
Pretty much.
Even though paparazzi is like a subsection of journalism in a way. It's basically like it's such a dicey thing to talk about. I think it's gotten a lot more of a diciness in the coming like years, especially with, the election and corona and like no one seems to fucking like believe anything anymore.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy.
Like what's your take on journalism as a whole? Like
my take.
Do you like it at all? Or do you feel skeptic?
No, you know what, Kiev? I love journalism. And I think part of why I love journalism so much is there is so many different mediums within journalism. Like in our classes, we're just kind of like they're kind of giving us like a smorgasbord of like every branch of journalism sort of, but there's like radio and broadcasting, which is like what I want to get into. And there's like fashion journalism, and there's sports media, and there's you know, like the what's it called? Like the people who do like the broadcasting on TV, like do the evening news and stuff like that. So right now, mainly we're focusing on like hard news journalism, which is like, you know, the relevant news in the world and like reporting like stories on it. But I am having so much fun with it because they kind of give you free reign to do any kind of story you want. So for example, yesterday we had a story day, and story days, we have them like every few weeks. And basically they give us 7 hours to go out. Well, we have to find a story and pitch it in advance, but then we have to go out, interview people, and then write a story and submit it within that 7-hour period. But we can do basically whatever we want. So yesterday I did my story on how during the pandemic, booking requests at tattoo studios have like skyrocketed. So even though like all these other local businesses are like being devastated by the pandemic, tattoo studios are kind of thriving because all of these people are looking for like a creative outlet for like self-expression and stuff, and like to cope with their mental health. That was like a big thing too, a big theme. So tattoo studios, like business is booming, you know? The other story that I did, this was pretty funny. I got one of like the best marks in the class on this story, which is insane to me. My prof hyped me up so much on this story. I did an entire story on how Canada is in the process of decriminalizing magic mushrooms. And that is like, I did that story, right? It was pretty, like, it's sick, right? You're talking to a future celebrity,
You're talking
maybe.
to the least potential known to man. Like,
Kiev, I've always said this though. You give off like potential celebrity vibes. If you got famous someday, I would be so like not surprised. You have like that charisma.
As much as I'd love to
be famous.
Yeah, you know, I don't think it's possible.
I think it is. Kiev, you have like this magnetism about you, I think. Like people are just like drawn to you. You have this like welcoming personality. It's funny. This was like my first impression of you. So you remember how we met for the first time, right?
Well, like
can I like
there's two.
We met twice.
Yeah, 2 times where I consider meeting you for the first time. I would say the second one that happened later. I'm talking about the fire pit.
Oh yeah, the fire pit. But no, I'm talking about like I was going to talk about the very first time. Like I just remember like, so I kind of have like, it might not appear so because I'm like comfortable with you, but like generally I get pretty anxious in like social situations. I think I don't know if I have like social anxiety. I say that I do because like I said, I do get pretty anxious in like social settings when I'm meeting people for the first time, and I tend to overthink a lot. So I just remember like being in that room full of people that I didn't know, and you just like offered to make me a cup of coffee or something. And that single little act was like, that meant so much to me, Kiev. That like completely like broke me out of my shell.
You look like someone that wanted a coffee, you know? And I was making a cup of coffee want a coffee.
Kiev, I feel like for me, coffee is like, anytime I'm like anxious, I just have coffee, and for some reason it makes me feel better, even though
I love coffee. I'm drinking it right now. Fuck.
Right? I had like 3 cups before this call just to make sure I'd be nice and energized. Unhinged for you. Yeah.
That's sweet though. I'm glad you recognize that. That's such like a small thing. Like I just thought of it as like almost second nature. I was just like, oh, here's
that was
this new
so
person.
Nice of you, Kiev.
Here, do you want a coffee?
that stuck out to me. I still think about that like to this day. That little small gesture made so much to me because, yeah, I don't know. I see myself. I don't know if I'm an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert. I think I might be an introverted extrovert because I love talking to people. I love making friends. Like my friends are so important to me, and I love talking to you guys like any opportunity I get. But at the same time, if I'm in like a room of people, I don't think I'll ever be the person to like speak out first. I wait for people to talk to me, which is like not necessarily very good. Like I will talk to people. Like I'm not like scared to talk to people first or anything. that's another thing that journalism really helped me with. One of the first lessons that they taught us in journalism was that you cannot be afraid to like bug people and to like confront them.
Your
and like
job essentially as a journalist.
Exactly.
You gotta bug the fuck out of everyone, which is why everyone hates journalists.
Literally, that's why we're hated so much. It's like my first class, my prof, like this was one of the first things he said. He was like, you cannot be afraid to be annoying because your whole job is just like bugging people. And like, for example, when we're doing these story days and you need to like reach out to sources in advance to make sure they can like, they're ready for the interview like the day of. And if they don't respond, you need to like keep messaging them until they respond. And that, I always get so anxious when I have to do that because I feel like I'm bugging them. But at the same time, it's like, it's my grade. Like, so you need to like kind of take ownership of that and just kind of like put yourself out there. And I think, like I said, I think journalism's really kind of helped me kind of come out of my shell a little bit too. It's definitely made me more comfortable approaching people. But yeah,
I was gonna say, like, you say that you have like this social anxiety. But, like, from all the times that I've ever, like, hung out with you with a big group of people, right? Or, like, at a party, you seem to be the one that everyone, like, naturally wants to gravitate to. I'm kind of like...
That's because I'm on drugs, Kiev.
I'm just saying, like, I'm the opposite of that. Like, no one ever really, like, gravitates towards me. Like,
I do.
You won anyways. Like, it's not... I kind of just go out there. I've grown from being like an introvert more to an extroverted person and just kind of like engaging more people, so I'm more gravitated towards other people than people are to me. But with you always manage to be like almost the center of attention at the end of like every social situation that I've been in. Like,
oh my god, Kiev, call me an attention whore without calling me an attention whore. Why don't you?
I'm just saying that in the times where like I held like a party at my place, like it's not irregular for any of my friends to ask like, oh, is Jess coming? Right? Like it's
Are you serious?
I'm being serious. Yeah, it's very much like a thing where it's just like you've planted yourself into these people's brains as like, wow, who is that cool person? Even to me, like your fucking
that made me
cool
so happy, Kiev.
White hair that you had, like your pure platinum white hair that you had, I was just like, holy fuck, this person must have some horror stories. This person must be fucking dope. I mean, look at your fucking room. You got Kurt Cobain in the back there. You got the Himalayan salt lamp, the TikTok lights.
It's broken. I was gonna turn the salt lamp on, but I broke it by accident. But like,
it's too heavy. It's
I love
next
it.
To my penis water bottle.
Your penis bottle. Your pottle bottle.
My pottle bottle. Everyone.
Whoa, Kiev.
I'm sorry, I can't show this on fucking YouTube or wherever. To all the visual people, I held up a penis. It's a big.
It's gigantic. It's girthy. It's thick.
I got a pride parade.
I'd be scared if someone pulled that out in front of me. I would be terrified. My little, I think I don't have birthing hips. I have the opposite of birthing hips. So like narrow hips.
They're like birthing hips are wide hips, right? Yeah, like
yeah, birthing hips are like big, juicy. I do not have that. So if someone pulled that out in front of me, yeah, Claire's got like juicy hips. I'm not juicy.
Big,
I'm just skin and bones.
Size.
I'm skin and bones,
You're not skin
baby.
and bones. You got form. I was gonna say, like, I got that bottle at Pride Parade, and it's a brilliant segue into you specifically. You have an amazing style. I'm sure anyone that has followed Jess has seen like all of her outfits, but you have such a fucking cool style that traverses like different eras. Like you could be 60s one day, and then the outfit that you wore on Pride Parade, which is like neo mid 2000s, where the silver bodysuit, you straight up look like an alien came down from space, and everyone's like,
that's what I was going for. I was going for like Y2K does 60s space age. That's like kind of the vibe I was going for.
It's a great fucking vibe. You got such a great style. Even your little skull and bones fucking hoodie. It's very
it's pretty
cool.
Sick.
It's the type of thing like a kid would get in like 2007, but like you pull it off. Like where it's just like,
Thank you.
It looks really cool.
I know. I kind of look like what's his name? Sid from Toy Story. That was his name, right?
You just need to buzz your head.
I know, but like it's cute. It's cute though. So,
I just want to. I asked this to all my fashionable friends, like, how do you even achieve like this sense of like, oh, I want to dress like this. I want my outfit to look like this, and you end up like killing it every single time. How do you choose an outfit essentially?
Have you seen the iconic 90s movie Clueless?
Yes, long time ago.
I have that. Yeah, I definitely have Cher's little like thing on my laptop where it's like match, unmatch. Like, no, I don't actually have that. But I just kind of wake up and it depends what vibe I'm in. I think you know what it is too? I think it depends what music I'm listening to, because I listen to a lot of different music, but like lately I've been listening to a lot of like Riot Girl music, and like you know, like Riot Girl, right? It was like a movement in the 90s where it's like girl punks and stuff like that, just like screaming about like sex and drugs and being a bad girl.
So basically,
and yeah, that's like pretty much. but like yeah, that's like kind of been my vibe like lately. Or like, so do you know you're familiar with Courtney Love, right?
Yes, I am. Very much.
Yeah, so before you get onto the Courtney Love slander, which I will not tolerate.
I am not gonna slide. You already changed my mind about Courtney Love.
I love Courtney Love, and I love Hole. Like her band Hole is one of my favorite bands ever. And what like a lot of people don't realize, this is kind of crazy. Hole was popular before Nirvana was, and people always kind of compare the two, but like Hole came first. Actually, they had their album Pretty on the Inside came out I think it was 1990. I might be wrong, but it was like early 90s. It was before Nirvana released like their mainstream stuff. And they had a song on that album which I love, and it's called Teenage Whore. And yeah, that song was number one in the UK. I love that song. It's so good. It's like Courtney like screaming, "When I was a teenage whore." Yeah, that one.
I'm gonna put music
it's so good. I love it.
Just so like, you know, it makes it sound like Courtney Love.
Yeah, it's a great song, but like, yeah, it depends what like music I'm listening to at the time. I feel like I've noticed this a lot. I think depending on what season it is, I go through like phases of listening to like different stuff depending on what season it is. And it's funny because usually I feel like around this time, like usually around February, I'll listen to a lot of like 60s stuff. Actually in February, what I really love to listen to is yay music, which is like French 60s pop music. And I love it because they're always like talking about like love and sex and stuff, but it's in French, so it just sounds so much better. And it's like the Valentine's Day mood, you know what I'm saying?
You're just on the whole nymphomaniac music
God, this is making me sound so bad. Like,
no,
yeah,
it's fucking, it's dope ass music. Like I love songs about, you know, being sexual in nature, but also, you know, like fuck yeah, love everything. Like I've been listening to Lola by the Kinks a lot. Just been listening to the fucking Kinks in general.
That's a good song. I love the Kinks. They're so good.
Those songs always make me feel like nice and confident to wear like whatever I want, even if it's a bit risque, you know, even though I'm wearing literally a turtleneck and a fucking sweater right now.
It's okay. Yeah. You are sexy in your turtleneck. Wow. Turtlenecks are sexy.
Thank you so much. Turtlenecks are sexy.
That should... Exactly. Like turtlenecks are so easily written off as being conservative. But like if you're sexy and you're wearing a turtleneck, then turtlenecks are sexy. That's just how it works.
Exactly.
But like also I feel just like I just thought of this, but like going back to like how I pick out my outfits. Do you know who my like icon is? Megan Fox. So like
Megan Fox is a fucking bisexual icon. God bless her.
Yes, in Jennifer's Body, another Hole song. Jennifer's Body, the movie, was named after the whole song of the same name.
I've
Jennifer's
still yet
Body.
to watch it. I'm waiting to watch it with my buddy Abigail.
It's so good, Kiev. Like Jennifer's Body changed my life. Like I want to embody her attitude in like everything I do.
I'm sure you already do at this point.
I mean, maybe, who knows? But like, I love Megan Fox, but I love her so much, her like style, her attitude, and on top of that, she's another one. She's really into astrology. I found this out. She was doing like an interview with someone, I forget who it was, but like she was talking about astrology, and the interviewer was like, "But it's fake," and she was like, "Okay, you're dumb," and I was like, "Yes, you're right." Like,
honestly,
she
she's
speaks
so
for my people.
She's so sexy. She's wonderful. She's like one of those people I can look up to and be proud to be bisexual and be sexy.
Definitely.
You know? It's great.
And I always feel so bad for her, because I feel like, do you know what happened with the whole like Michael Bay situation in Transformers?
I actually do know a lot about
up.
that. Like fucking, for those people who don't know, she was basically sexualized a lot in the movie series Transformers, which caused her to leave by the third Transformers movie. And it's fucked up. Michael Bay is like, he
scummy.
He's scummy. He's like every other director. He's perverted and wants to constantly sexualize women in any way.
He was just like dangling her as like a piece of meat in front of the camera to like attract male audiences. And I think like she like voiced her concerns about that, and then I think he like fired her or something. I forget if she walked out or whether he fired her for that.
I think she walked out, but like, yeah, good on her.
It's messed up. Like,
fuck that. You should never sexualize just a woman as like a piece of meat in any sort of like media, especially in movies.
Exactly.
Like, sex sells. Sadly, like doing this shit does get like asses in seats, but there are plenty of different ways that you can get people engaged into movies. Like, especially nowadays, the whole landscape has changed. Even with commercials, which was the biggest thing about like sex sells, it's like they've changed it all so that now it is a lot more like, you know, respectful, as it should be. It shouldn't just be like, oh, look at this girl's boobies, also buy the Arby's hamburger. Like definitely, it doesn't make sense.
And like the thing is too, so you know I love like the early 2000s, right? Like it's so nostalgic to me, and it has like a special place in my heart. But I think that was such a prominent trend in Hollywood in like the early 2000s era. It's like you couldn't be hot and smart and like educated, or like you couldn't be hot and also have something to say that people actually wanted to listen to. And that's like, it makes me so sad, because nowadays it's like, I don't know if you've seen the whole like trend on TikTok. It's like bimbos of TikTok, you know, himbos, stuff like that. But like, I feel like now we're finally getting to the point where we've realized that being a dumb blonde or being like a dumb girl because you're sexy, like that is just so dated. Like you can still be like fighting for what's right and like, you know, have a message that you want to share with the world while also being attractive. Like one shouldn't cancel out the other.
That makes it sexy to be
exactly
fucking attractive.
That's what it is.
And also fighting for things that are right, you know, which is why Megan Fox is beautiful and wonderful, and she's a goddess sent from heaven.
And she's dating Machine Gun Kelly, so I mean,
yeah,
like,
who's
good for
also
them.
just another. He's a sexy man,
right?
In my
Yeah,
opinion. A man can
together.
barely pull off as many tattoos as he can, but him, goddamn.
I think they look so good together. Like
they look great.
For
it's
a
like
while,
punk BF and punk GF.
Right? Know? Yeah, they just like match. They match so well. For a while, I wasn't too crazy about Machine Gun Kelly. Like when he was doing his like stupid like Eminem diss track days, like that was so annoying. But like now,
I think
feel
Eminem
like
won, but whatever.
He did one. Like that was the whole like why would you
Eminem
do that?
Is straight fucking trash, but like, you know, when he's dissing other people, it's actually pretty fun.
When I start drinking, my dick does all my thinking. Like, his lyrics are just so stupid. Like I love it though.
Classic bars. Fun for me just to grab a boob, plus my penis got an attitude. Like it can't get any better, honestly.
Lyrical poetry, like definitely.
A spiritual, lyrical miracle.
But yeah, literally, but like I kind of felt like during those days, Machine Gun Kelly was just kind of like clout chasing, which was like, kind of, like. But
I mean, it helps.
I know, it did help. Like at the time, I was like, "Damn, this dude is committing social suicide." But like then, he like kind of.
He's fine now.
I like the fact. Yeah, I really like the fact that he's bringing like pop punk back into like the mainstream, because that was such like a. an interesting era. The whole like pop punk movement thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I went through a whole pop punk stage in middle school, so maybe this is just like my past talking, but like I love that whole like scene. It was just like, it was like the chaotic, like not giving a shit of punk, but it's like mainstream to the point where like people can enjoy it, and it doesn't make you like pretentious for liking it, you know? Because that's something I'm always afraid of by liking like kind of niche music, is that I come off as like a pretentious like asshole when I'm talking about it. But
what I've learned is that either way, whatever music you listen to, there's always going to be at least one person in the room that's going to be like, what a pretentious dick. Like,
that's
if
true.
you put on 60s music, 70s music, 80s music, they're just going to be like, oh, what an asshole, right? Which
Shut
is just
up.
all the more incentive to just listen to whatever the fuck you want. You
Exactly.
know?
Like
I'm
that's
still
true.
very much in my punk phase.
So am I.
I still listen. I've been listening to Plumtree.
I love Plumtree. I love Plumtree.
Yeah, they're great. They made
wait.
music for the Scott Pilgrim movie.
Oh, I
which is
didn't even
dope.
know that, but I love
Yeah.
In the Sink. That is such
Oh,
a
I was
good
just about to
song.
say In the Sink.
I love that
I brought
song.
my worm collection over to your house. It's so good. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. But I appreciate, I know a lot of people, that's like a big turnoff for a lot of people. Like, when things become popular, it like kind of defeats the whole like nonconformist ideal of punk. But at the same time, I appreciate the fact that by making punk a little bit more mainstream, for a lot of people, it makes them like feel better about liking it, or like it makes people more comfortable to like express themselves more openly, I think. Because like, I don't know, sometimes for me, again, maybe it's just because I'm so like in my head all the time, but sometimes I get so scared that people are like, first of all, I don't want people to interpret me. I don't want people to perceive me the way I don't want to be perceived, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like everyone kind of has an image in their head of how they appear to others, and they want that to translate well. But when there's like stigmas and stereotypes attached to like a certain like look or whatever, it makes people prone to like prejudice again. And that's like a very uncomfortable situation to be in, because I don't want to have to like explain myself to people, but
Yeah.
I
You
just kind
wanna
of
be yourself.
I know, and I want people to just like accept that and like see me for how I am and not for how they think I am, you know?
Yeah. I think your confidence is another thing that I like appreciate about you, that I look up to, is that you do have like such a huge like amount of confidence in yourself. Like, you always go through like this thing where you're just like, oh, you know, like I'm afraid of like this and that, I'm afraid of what people think of like this and that. Aside from that, you do have like such a great confidence and willingness to be like, yeah, this is who I am, fuck you all,
Yeah,
you guys
fuck
can
you,
go suck a
bitch.
dick, right? Like,
But like,
I think
yeah.
I think it's dope.
It's kind of crazy. Like, when I was talking to my journalism friends, they all were like, Jess, you're so confident. And I was like, what? Like, because in my head, I don't even see myself as being that confident. Like,
Most people don't. Most confident
Right?
people don't.
Like, because in my head, there's so much self-doubt that I'm like, I think to a certain extent for a while, it was just kind of like fake it till you make it, you know? That's kind of like my motto for like my mantra for like going about like being confident. You just really have to like, even if you don't feel your best, you can't necessarily let other people know that. I mean, again, maybe that's not good. Like, maybe that's like a toxic thing, but like, I always, even if, I don't know, it's just kind of like, if you pretend to believe in yourself, after a while, everyone else will start to believe in you, and that can kind of help you believe in yourself a little bit more. Like, I don't know. I think
it's kind of like taking your own self-doubts, right? Trying to ignore them.
Yeah.
And then people will start being like, oh, like, you're not actually annoying and dumb and ugly. And then you start like getting that like criticism into you, and you're just like, yeah, I am not annoying, dumb,
Exactly.
and ugly. You know?
Like that's something for me, Kiev. Like it's crazy that you said that like at parties and stuff, like people actually like don't think I'm insane, because anytime I like go over to your place or whatever, or I'm like meeting people for the first time, I always go home and I'm like, holy fuck, I fucked it. Like they all think I'm annoying. They'll never want to speak to me ever again. And then, I mean, it never ends up going that way, but like, I'm always
it's the crutch of being an overthinker. I do the same
definitely.
thing all the time.
It's always in the back of my mind. I'm always, well, or else like say something and I'll go home and like at the time I'll be like, oh, that sounded funny. Like that was smart. But like then I'll go home and I'll be like, holy shit, like that was so obnoxious. I'm such a loudmouth and I don't want to be. Like I just really want to.
You're not. You're honestly not.
If anything, I just want people to think I'm considerate. I don't want people to think I'm obnoxious, because I care so much about other people. Really, I do. So that is how I want people to see me, as like kind of like sophisticated, but also caring at the same time. Maybe that's my Libra speaking, but I want to have like a balance of both.
Oh, I wanted to segue into
for sure
a topic, because like I've been thinking about this a lot, specifically being friends with you. I am 19 and you're 18. You're literally only a year younger than me, right? Yet, with every single one of my friends that are just like a year below me, I always seem to find like the younger generation is just getting more and more chaotic and insane and like crazy. And like I asked like all of my other friends and they're just like, oh yeah, like no, you're fucking right. Like these people are like more like energetic. They have so much more like energy in them compared to like all of us. It makes me feel like a fucking old man.
I do notice that actually. I feel like when I'm hanging oh no, you go first. What were you saying?
I was literally just gonna ask you, like, do you feel the same way, like with people a year below you, and how you think knowing that other people think like, oh my god, like this girl's got so much energy and like she's literally like a year younger or like younger than me, right? Do you ever feel that?
So I think an important thing to say is that I think the majority of my friends are a year older. So I tend to hang out with people who are like a little bit older than me. I have met some younger people and they're bold. Like even I had a friend at work who was a year younger than me, and she would like just do the boldest shit. And like at work, she would like talk to everyone in all the departments and stuff. And like that isn't really me. Like again, maybe it's just because I don't really talk to people first. Like I'm perfectly happy to just like mind my own business and like stay out of people's shit. But I do notice when I'm hanging out with older people, they just seem so much cooler. I don't know, like you guys are just so like naturally cool and like composed, and like you just seem so much like you guys have your shit together and stuff like that. And sometimes I just feel like I wonder if it's just me, like if I'm like particularly chaotic or something, or whether like you guys are just actually just way cooler than me or something. But yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of like a weird trade-off that I see, right? Because on one hand, yes, I do like see like a lot of younger people do view even people like me that are just a year older as like cooler and as like more composed and everything. At the same time, I view the people younger than me just going like, oh my god, they're so bold. They're so like, they're a lot more like forward with everything. And it's like stuff that I wish that I was like more of, right? And it's so strange because I see you and I see your friends and like I see you at parties and you guys go fucking ham. You guys go ham. I guess. And I go ham too, you know? I fucking play beer pong.
I play beer pong, drink. So I'm pretty crazy.
I can smoke weed. I smoke my reefer, you know?
I do
but
weed.
It's just like, it always seems like everything that I do, the younger generation is always one step above.
Oh,
right? Like,
do you know what I think it might be? I don't know if it's, so this is just speaking from my personal experience. So I saw this personally changed my like behavior so much, maybe for the worse if I'm being honest, but like I saw the show Skins at such a young age. I was like maybe 14 when I watched Skins, and I saw all these like kids who are like literally like 15, 16. I think they're like 15 or 16. I think in the show that they go from like 15 to 17, and they are doing the craziest stuff. And I think it might not be like Skins for everyone. Like for me, that's like where that was like the big influence for me. But I think a lot of people my age are being exposed to like this stuff at like a younger age, and they'll see these like younger people doing all this crazy shit, and then they just kind of like try and replicate it in their like daily lives and stuff. Like, oh my god, I idolized Effie Stoneham for so long. I was a big Effie girl. Now I'm like, Cassie was underrated, but like Effie was like my idol for like grade 9 to grade 11, I want to say. Like that was a while that she was like my icon. And like looking back, like Effie Stoneham was not a role model. Like she was not.
I have a very interesting counter to that, because the people in my generation, they've also watched shows like Skins, you know? Yeah. Like they see all these kids doing crazy shit and they want to replicate it, right? And I just think I think the generations, like the younger that they get, the more like they take out of it, the more that they can get influenced by it. Because I think like I only started watching Skins recently, and like my girlfriend Claire and her best friend Abigail, they've been watching the show like since like they were in like grade 10, right? And you watched it at a younger age, yet
grade 9.
Claire and Abigail, they feel like they replicate Skins in a very like different way, where it's like, yes, we try to be wild, but also we're more composed. And then you, being the younger, like we see you as like a more of like a representation of Skins than we could ever be, right?
It's crazy.
And I feel like you, if you were to see a younger person too, you would be like, oh wow, they're like an even more representation of like not even though right? Kiev.
Sometimes I'll look. Here's the thing too. Sometimes I will like see younger people who are like trying to like go for that look, and it's almost too forced. Like I feel like there's a happy medium between where it's like natural and it like is cool, versus when people are like forcing, like just like shoving it down people's throats, and like it's almost like too much. I mean, maybe it's just because like teenage angst or whatever, and like I'm still pretty angsty if I'm being honest, but like I guess like the older you get, the more you kind of like you get real world experiences, and you're like figuring out how the world actually works and like where your priorities need to be. But like I feel like there's like a sweet spot age, again, I would say maybe 15, 16, where you don't really have anything to really care about that much. Like in grade 12, everyone was like trying to get into university and stuff, right? So that like kind of took the priority, and like the party lifestyle and everything kind of like took the backseat, even though we were all still like doing crazy shit and whatever. But yeah, I would say I don't know, or like maybe even the fact that like creative jobs and stuff are becoming more and more mainstream and acceptable, so people don't necessarily feel that like hard pressure to like get into university, get into like a top-notch program or whatever, so that they can get a good degree and get a good job and stuff like that. But
yeah, I would say the amount of incriminating shit that I've said on these podcasts and will continue to say would definitely cost me a job before then. Definitely. But now it is a lot more different, where like, you know, I don't think a fucking film production firm is going to look at the podcast and go like, oh my god, this fucking dude's a psycho, get him out of here. Like,
think of how much music has changed like in the last 5 years even. Like I would say like 5 years ago, you actually had to be like really talented to like make it in the music industry, right? But like nowadays, people are literally just like recording stuff in their bedroom and like posting it on SoundCloud and stuff, and it's like blowing up, and it's bringing people so much fame. Like an example that I'm thinking of is like Girl in Red. You know Girl in Red, right?
Yeah.
Like she literally records all her stuff in her bedroom with like a guitar and her laptop. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's dope as fuck.
Right? It's awesome. Like I think it's
the
great.
epitome of creative job opportunity. Not everyone can be a musician, but someone can be along the same lines of Girl in Red, where they can essentially do all their work from home, and still be like creative when doing it. It's like how YouTubers are a fucking thing now. Like anyone can film a movie nowadays. Anyone can film a video or start a podcast.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It can be a creative job opportunity where you can actually monetize it. You can actually,
yeah, and even like I remember listening to your podcast with Abby, and I think you guys touched upon it there, but like even with like TikTok and stuff, like I think you talked about how many like opportunities Abby has gotten through TikTok. Like it's so easy nowadays to just like do your own thing and be who you are and be recognized for it and get like opportunities that you're actually interested in. So there's less of like a societal pressure, I think, to like kind of conform into like a box of like what's conventional and like what's the conventional route to success. Like I think that has like changed a lot, and I like it's nice to see, but like again, like sometimes I'll look at the younger kids and I'm like, wow, you guys are bold. Like I would never be doing that shit. Like
it's just giving people more incentive to do shit, right?
Exactly.
Like just do wild stuff, which I think I guess I'm all for. Obviously don't fuck up your life. Don't film
don't get
yourself
addicted to heroin
coke
or anything.
Yeah, don't do all that shit on camera, right? Don't incriminate yourself, but also, like live your life. You have to at any given point. You could be given the best job in the world, but you still gotta live your life. I don't think what you do on your spare time should incentivize people to be like, oh, fuck you don't deserve
definitely
a job,
not,
right?
Or like even I remember there again, this I feel like this is still when this whole thing was becoming more popular, like this whole like lifestyle and stuff. I remember people literally used to think I was like a brainless crackhead and like all I did was like party and stuff like that, and they would devalue my like who I am as a person just because I was doing all these fun things. But like now it's getting like more acceptable, and I think I've made so like honestly like doing the stuff that I do, even if it's not the best, I have made so many friends that way, and I've learned so much about myself, and I've had all of these like really unique, wonderful experiences that I can like look back on, and I'm like, wow, that like really shaped me into the person I am today. And like again, like going back to like the whole confidence thing, I think it's a real confidence builder to know that like you can just authentically be yourself and you're not going to be like ridiculed for it, or it's not going to make you less of a person or less of whatever just because you're doing all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's good to understand like your comfort zone when it comes to like different things. Like without the shit that I've experienced in my life, I wouldn't be, posting the things that like I post, right? Like I used to be such a fucking weirdo, like nervous motherfucker going like, what if someone sees this or whatever. But now like I'm more open, right? Like I'm more open to just posting, say, pics of me in my fucking underwear or
me too naked. Like same
like it's
censor.
but it's very much like a thing that I'm a lot more comfortable with now, and I no longer really have a fear of being caught really
being like or even being judged. Like I oh my god, I was always so scared of being judged, and I feel like that is part of the reason why like I kind of have this like self-doubt in the back of my head, because for so long it was like not unacceptable. Like obviously people were doing it. It was just kind of like, I think there was like a self-righteousness that was like really prominent in people, where they just love to like people love to compare themselves to others and like see what other people are doing and be like, oh, I would never do that. And that like, I don't know, it's just so toxic.
People love to burn the witch.
Exactly.
Essentially.
People love to watch other people failing, and like I think I don't know if it's like an entertainment thing, or like I don't even know if it's like, if it's the fact that we're getting older, like the older you get, the more acceptable it gets, I guess, or whether it is like actually like just and society changing as a whole. But
I think it's society changing as a whole, right?
I would say so too, honestly. I think it's a little bit of both, because I feel like as you get older, it does become more like acceptable. But I do think there's a growing acceptance of like different lifestyles that is like becoming more popular with like younger people. And it's the acceptance, like non-judgmental lifestyle is so much better than like just judging everyone and having that be your personality. Like I hate judgmental people. It's like the worst. It's the worst.
I hate it too, because it's just like, I don't, like, I said this in the last podcast, like, I no longer really care what other people think. But when people do judge me and people, like, you know, ridicule me for doing certain things, like, it just puts, like, a fucking, like, an arrow through my fucking, like, chest, you know, just hearing it. Because it's just like, I didn't have to hear it. I obviously don't have to care about it, but it still sucks. Nonetheless, to hear like this type of judgment coming from people, it's just like, come on, man, just be more fucking open-minded, right?
What was crazy, actually? So I told you, me and my journalism buddies, we have like these Zoom parties where we're all just like kind of talking. I mean, that's so like pandemic era, but like we have Zoom parties. Yeah, we're still getting lit, but just online. But yeah, and I remember I was talking to them about like how I've dabbled in different substances. And
Ooh.
I was really nervous to talk about that because there are a lot of people in my program who don't do any of that. And there's some people who haven't done anything. And I was so nervous that they were going to be like judgmental. But if anything, I was just met with like a lot of like curiosity about it. And people were really genuinely curious about like all of the things that I've experienced and stuff. And that is such a more wholesome like outlook to have. Yeah. Like, even if I would never pressure anyone to like do the things that I've done, like it's obviously a personal choice, but being able to like accept the fact that other people are making those choices and not judge them for it is it's so nice. Like, it's so nice to like be able to talk to them about this stuff and know that I'm not being judged. That's like the nicest thing. And at the same time, it gives me like a safe space where I can like talk about all of my like fun stories and like crazy experiences that I've had, which, like I said, have really like shaped me into the individual I am today. So I feel like it also gives people a better understanding of how I am and why I am the way I am when I tell them this stuff. So if you can keep an open mind and just hear me out when I talk about it, that's like so appreciated.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot more crazy people in the world. You
Definitely.
know? A lot of people have to, you know, acknowledge that. They have to accept the fact that, you know, people like me have smoked weed and drank.
Exactly.
And have done
like,
psychedelics and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or do like any crazy fucking things in the world, whether it be, nah, I won't get into it. But it's just like, you know, we've all done crazy shit. Is essentially like what I'm saying. Like, I've seen you do some crazy fucking things. Crazy
shit.
I accept it. I acknowledge it.
Progressively worse
shit. You're a very wild person. But it's wild, so. It's fun, keeps you on your toes, you know? It's nice.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm so appreciative that like you appreciate it, you know? And
like, why wouldn't I?
I don't know. You're right. You would appreciate it because I know you are just as insane, if not more. Just more composed, more cool about it.
I would say there are things that you've done that I haven't done, but there are things that I have done that you haven't done, which is like a fun like thing to even talk about. Just like how crazy things can get and how much you can learn from people's crazy experiences, right? You know?
Exactly. And again, like when it comes down to it, it's like it's kind of like a coming of age thing, I think. Everyone goes through that stage where they want to like blow off steam, and I think during the pandemic it's become like especially prominent because everyone's like cooped up inside, so they're like reflecting on like the things they've done and the things they haven't done or the things they want to try, and it's allowed people to be more honest with themselves. And I think being cut off from other people, I think when you're in like a social environment constantly, it becomes even easier to judge others because I think judgment is just like a human trait, as awful as it is. People they love to pass the first stone, you know? I think that's the expression I'm thinking of, but it's like when you're alone with yourself, you're like, why am I judging people? I'm judging people because other people are judging other people, you know? So it's allowed people to be a lot more authentic and honest with themselves about what they want to try. And I think it's opened people's minds a lot too, which is nice.
Yeah, everyone's a lot more chill. Everyone's been smoking joints. Everyone's just been, you know, a lot more accepting, which I like.
Exactly.
I like a lot. It was definitely different like years before. Like when I was in 9th grade, it was fucking, like, if you even talked about any of this shit, it would have been like, yo, like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
you're
you hear someone having
like,
sex, it's just going like, oh my god, what a fucking whore.
Slut. Like, now I'm like, slut. Like, I wear that with a badge of honor.
Whore?
Like, my sluts.
Whore?
Like,
yeah, I got a penis bottle. What's up with that?
But yeah, I think there isn't one clear cut to success, or one clear path to success. There's multiple paths. And I think as long as I am still doing well, which I think I am, like, I think I'm still succeeding as far as like the definition of success goes. So as long as I'm not like struggling, or as long as it doesn't get to the point where you're like self-sabotaging or you're being like destructive, like, just because you're experimenting or you're dabbling with things doesn't necessarily mean you're being destructive or you're being self-destructive. There is a difference, and I think that is something that people need to realize. Just because one thing can lead to, you know, horrible outcomes doesn't mean they are. And if they aren't, it isn't your place to speak on. Like, for example, if I saw one of my friends, you know, doing too much, like, and I have been in that situation before where I've seen friends kind of overindulging in the whole, like, in that whole like party lifestyle or whatever, to the point where it is getting self-destructive, to the point where it's like affecting who they are as a person, and it's almost like they're ruining their own lives. It's so tough because it's like you're watching a train wreck happen in slow motion, and you don't want to be judgmental. It's so hard to like step in and like try and offer someone a hand without seeming like you're judging them. But I think that's something else we need to like kind of collectively work on, is the ability to like recognize when something has gone too far and be able to like to reach out and kind of like be compassionate and and to like help without people feeling like they're being judged. Like, if someone saw me going too far, and like I think I know my limit pretty well, and I mean, sometimes I go a little too far, but not to the point where it's like getting in the way of my life, pretty much. It's never, I don't know. I think personally, this is a controversial topic, but I don't really think I have an addictive personality. I think I just do things because it's fun and not because I feel like I need to. Some people do things because they feel like they need to do it to like get through their life, like their regular everyday lives. And like, I think if you can separate that like partying with also like being like slightly realistic, that can work. But it gets dangerous when people can't separate the two, or when one starts crossing over into the other. And I think part of being a good friend is reaching out to someone and like maybe giving them the heads up that you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you mean. It's basically like, you don't want anyone to destroy themselves. You don't want anyone to go way too far and even harm themselves from the things that they're doing. Like, whether it be someone drinking too much, or even smoking weed too much, or just doing shit that isn't necessarily like healthy for them, right?
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking
especially
more...
when it comes to like attention and shit like that. You know, like, you never want anyone to like garner too much attention to them. Yeah,
exactly. And like especially on like social media and stuff, everything is so broadcasted, and people have a tendency to overshare, which I think that's kind of problematic. Like, I know for a lot of people, sharing their like experiences and stuff on social media is like a coping mechanism, but I think to a certain point it does get kind of dangerous when you're broadcasting it to everyone, because the thing is, people on social media, you're broadcasting it to people who might not necessarily have your best interest in mind. And a lot, like, people on the internet, they love entertainment. Like, and this is what I'm so afraid of for so many of my friends. It's like they're broadcasting all of their shit online, and people are like, yeah, do it. Like, be crazy. And it's like, yeah, like, have fun, like, blow off steam, like, do what you want to do. But also, like, if I have to be the friend, exactly. And like I said, I don't want to seem like I'm, you know, pot calling the kettle black, because I do a lot of shit. But the thing is, it's like, I know where my limit is. And if I see someone else kind of like ruining themselves and their own lives with their like activities, I do try and like step in and say like, hey, are you okay? Because I am kind of worried about you. You got to be able to express concern without passing judgment. And I try to do that, but
no.
Again.
Yeah, like oversharing has become like a big problem. There's one thing that I want to touch upon, like whenever I talk about TikTok, I never got the chance to. TikTok is very interesting in the sense of like a lot of people, I'm sure everyone has seen a lot of these types of TikToks where like they constantly overshare about like, say, like a traumatic event that happened in their life, right? Like whenever they talk about, say, like a family member dying, like the only thing is that the shit like seems to happen like just recently, right? And all of the comments are making jokes almost just at the expense of the person that shared it.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are down to just say like, oh, like they love humor. Humor is a coping mechanism. You know, if like her baby brother died like 2 weeks ago from falling off like the stairs, like they're just trying to get over it, right? But I don't think it really helps if a lot of people are down in the comments literally going like, oh, looks like your brother took a tumble. Like it's just like, it's kind of just like, oh, please, you guys gotta calm the fuck down. Like this girl is using humor as a coping mechanism for sure, but I don't think it very much helps if you're going to make jokes about their dead fucking baby
exactly.
brother.
Everyone
like,
deserves.
Not very nice.
Yeah. Everyone, no matter what your coping mechanism is, I think everyone deserves to be treated with humanity. And, you know, we're all like people and we all experience the same emotions. And just because someone is coping with it a certain way doesn't mean that they're not like struggling with it. So I think that's like a very bold assumption to make, that that's not your place, pretty much. Like, it's not your place to comment on that. But something else, just like to add on to that I find is like kind of scary, is the fact that I think when we talk about like toxic people, we're usually talking about like other people who, you know, have toxic traits and stuff. But I think it's really important to kind of like recognize your own toxic traits. In spirituality, it's called recognizing your shadow self. That's what it's called. And kind of being able to like, again, like take an introspective look at yourself and realize where your toxic traits are and actively trying to like to get better. It's like, it's almost like in our generation, there is such a huge prominence of like trying to be accepting that sometimes it's almost toxic in itself. Because sometimes I see people on TikTok like talking about their toxic habits and stuff, and like I'll be listening to it and I'm like, that's not good. Like that's not something you should be like bragging about the way you are. But
yeah,
people
I
are
saw, like,
so
a TikTok essentially talking about how they don't brush their teeth like for
and
days, and I'm just like,
and
that's something you should do probably.
Exactly.
And all the comments are just like, haha, same. And I'm just like,
exactly, like there's it's almost like the comment section validates the toxic trait and it justifies it. And I think that's where things get kind of scary and dangerous, because you need to be able to, and not even like, there's more extreme examples than like not brushing your teeth for a few days. Sure, that's like kind of grody, but like there's like, I have seen TikToks where people are maybe talking about their mental health issues, and they'll be talking about certain like things that they've done because of their mental health issues. And all the comments are like, oh, I do the same thing, you know, stuff like that. And I wonder about the psychological effect that must have on people, because to a certain extent that must seem like validation or like justification. And even though I get why people would want to like seek out that validation for those things, because, you know, it might make you feel better about them. It might help like absolve the guilt that might like be attached to those like certain things. I don't think the constant validation is healthy per se. I don't want to seem like I'm being closed-minded at all, because like I said, I don't want to seem like I'm passing judgment, because that is so not the type of person I am. I would never want to judge anyone for that. But like, if I saw someone posting that I knew, I would want to reach out and be like, hey, like, are you okay? Because I saw you posting this and I know that's like not great. So if you want to like talk it through with me to like, you know, get better, you can talk to me whenever, you know? But
no, because it's the position of you don't want anyone to hurt themselves. Again, it's like you don't want people to fuck up
or hurt others too.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot of TikToks where people are talking about their mental health, and they'll talk about like the things they've said or the things they've done to others, and people are like, oh, you're so bold, oh, you're such a bad bitch or whatever. But like, only a bad bitch to a certain extent. Like, if you're hurting yourself or hurting others, it gets to a certain point where you just need to kind of step in and make sure everyone's okay. But yeah, I just think I'm scared that people will replace like traditional therapy or like different like therapeutic strategies with coping mechanisms. I think people are kind of like confusing the two. Like, they'll take a coping mechanism and they'll be like, oh, that is therapy, that's all the therapy I need. Like,
yeah,
sweetheart,
humor can only be therapy like for so long, especially in the cases of TikToks that seem to be the one thing that I see constantly. It's like people making jokes at the expense of themselves. It's not therapy. Like, to a point, it's not. It's very much just coping. You're trying to get over this trauma, you're trying to deal with it, but if you keep on,
you're living in it. You're like living in it when you're constantly talking about it and constantly bringing it up, and you're making it such a core part of who you are. Like, obviously your mental health is a part of who you are, but it doesn't define you. Like, your mental health should not be definitive of who you are. And I think a lot of people are using it to like capitalize on themselves in a way. Like, it's almost like they're letting their mental health define them, and that is it makes me so sad to see, because
I don't want my depression to define me.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's literally the shittiest part about
you're
me.
So much more than that. And I think by making light of the situation all the time, it almost makes it seem less bad or less severe. And I think that could be, like, you don't know what someone's going through. And if they're just always making light of the situation, meanwhile, it's, like, having a huge impact on them, you'd never know. You would never know how much it's really impacting someone because they're just always making light of it. And that was, like, I had one friend. I don't want to name names, but I had one friend who was, like, all constantly posting about all the stuff that they were doing to themselves, and it broke my heart. It made me so sad. And I would, like, everyone would always be trying to, like, comfort her or, like, tell her that everything would be okay, and she'd be like, haha, no, it's not. And, like, I don't know, like, I don't know what to do in that situation, because it's almost like they're rejecting help. It's like they're oversharing.
Is them rejecting.
I know, but it's crazy, Kiev, because to a certain extent, I would almost say oversharing on social media is a cry for help in itself. If you get to the point where it's so bad that your coping mechanism is to overshare and everyone is concerned about you, but you're pushing that help away, it's toxic. It's not good.
Yeah, it's definitely not fucking good.
And it makes people underestimate the severity of the situation. And I think that is so heartbreaking, because everyone deserves to, like, be treated with love and compassion and to, like, get the help that they need if they actually need it. You just need to reach out without just, like, broadcasting it. Because once you're broadcasting it to, like, an entire audience, it's almost like you're shutting yourself off from the words that they have to say about it. It's almost like if you get to the point where you don't care enough that you can post all about it, then you won't care what any of those people are saying, even if they are actually concerned or if they're making jokes about it. Like, I don't know. I just think it downplays the situation. And I don't like that. It makes me really sad. Like, I would rather someone like text me and like actually like ask for help or whatever. Cause I'm like I'm so happy to like help my friends when they're going through like a rough time or whatever. And like, so are you, Kiev. You've helped me through so much shit. And that is like something I value that about you so much, because it is such an endearing trait knowing that like I feel like anytime I tell you about a problem, even if, like I said, in my brain, I'm saying like my brain is telling me, oh, he can't actually care. Like, he has so much on his mind already with his own life. Like, there's no way he could possibly care about what I'm saying. You always make me feel heard. And I think that is like the most important thing, is like, as long as you are making sure that the person is actually voicing their true feelings and you are actually hearing them out and they actually feel heard and understood, I think that's the most important thing, because nobody should ever feel misunderstood because they're being misinterpreted.
Yeah. I think that's like the biggest takeaway from like this podcast, I would say. Like I always try to help like whenever I can, when I can try to help, but in the end it's just like you need to be able to talk to someone and make them feel
You need to help yourself.
Yeah, you also need to help yourself too.
Exactly. You need to want to help yourself. And that is, I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about like self-care and stuff like that, because self-care is like being your own friend, like just like reaching out to yourself and asking yourself, am I okay? Like, am I really okay? I think that's a very important skill to have, is to be able to really just take a moment, pause from social media, pause from other people, and just kind of like ask yourself, like, am I really okay right now? Am I really doing well? And if the answer is no, you have to kind of be able to take the initiative to like actually want to fix your situation. And a lot of people, I feel like for a lot of people who do have an addictive personality, it's almost like they're addicted to being sad. Actually, funny enough, we were talking about this in my philosophy class today. It's like that feeling of heartbreak and loneliness almost becomes your motive for living. It's like it's an addictive feeling. And we were talking today about how heartbreak, sometimes like getting over heartbreak is so difficult, because people make that heart, like it ends up defining you, and it becomes your reason for living. And that shouldn't be the case. You should be living for the good things in life rather than living for the pain. You do, like, in the end, you're gonna have to experience both. That's a given with life. But I feel like you need to appreciate the fact that you have the capability to both love and hate. And if you're constantly hating yourself so strongly and severely, you have the capability to love yourself to that same extent. As humans, we are given the gift of both. So it's a choice that you have to make.
Yeah, of course. I agree with literally everything you just said. It's just like, it's very much, if anyone out there is like either knows someone that's struggling right now or is struggling themselves, just please take the time to either help your friend or help yourself. Seek help, ask a friend to help you, like, because it will become so much to the point, like, I know for a fact, like, it will become too much at a point. You will bottle up enough of these feelings to very much do something dangerous to yourself, as I have, right? Like, you need to just try and get as much help as you can, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that are rooting for you. There's going to be a lot of people out there that will help you. Like, despite what you believe in your silly little brains, guys, like, you gotta really think about the people in your life. They're gonna help you in any way that they can, right? And in every single little bit of help works, it helps.
Exactly. And I think something else that's important is you will never be able to fully grasp how much you affect the lives of everyone around you. Like, I think such a common theme with people with like who suffer from depression and stuff like that is they feel like they don't matter to anyone. You will never, our brains limit ourselves from truly comprehending how much we matter to other people. You will never be able to fully grasp the weight that you possess And I don't mean you're on the heavy side. Like, I mean, like, you will never be able to like grasp how much you affect others. And I think that that's so sad. Like, I mean, obviously it's like inevitable. Like, you will never be able to fully accept that. But you just need to have like a rational part of your brain that tells you like, and then on top of that, you also need to realize that nothing in life is permanent. Nothing. So even if you are having the worst time, life isn't bad. Life doesn't hate you. Like that is such a horrible, heartbreaking mindset to have when people are like, life hates me. Like I can't fix my situation because I am just predisposed to having horrible situations. That is not true. It can't be true because at some point things will change and you possess the capability to look back. I've thought this so many times. Like when I'm doing well, I'll look back and think about when I felt hopeless. And I'm like, I cannot believe I ever felt hopeless because there are so many beautiful things in life that we live every day for. And we live every day hoping that we will get to experience these beautiful things. And they do come. It's just, if you are constantly stuck in your own brain and you're not choosing to experience them and you're not reaching out towards that positive mindset, you're never going to experience them. It really is a choice. And I know, I don't know if that might be like controversial or whatever, but like, for example, if you walk, like sometimes I'll walk downstairs, right? And, you know, the day isn't particularly special, but we have like a little bird feeder hanging by our door. And sometimes I'll see like the little birds like flying to our bird feeder. And then some days like there's like a family of cardinals that like live in the woods behind our house. And sometimes the cardinals will come and like eat from our bird feeder. And I'm just like, wow, that is so lovely. Like they're so beautiful. They're coming to our little bird feeder to like eat. And then it's just so nice. If you learn to be appreciative of the little things, it can turn your situation around, I think.
Mm-hmm. Way to speak your
I don't know if I'm
Jess. Goddamn.
I don't know if I'm like oversimplifying it. I don't want to seem like I'm oversimplifying it or I'm glossing over these like
You're
horrible
fine.
things. Like,
don't worry.
But yes, I truly believe that happiness is a choice. It really is up to you to like grab life by the balls and just pursue like happiness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, that's my whole outlook. And it makes me so sad when people say that life is full of negative things, so there's nothing to live for. That's not true. Mm-hmm. Because there is a perfect balance in life of negative and positive. And it's just the negative things are easier. I think that's what it is too. It is so much easier to like be negative than it is to be positive. It is easy to be positive. Like I said, all I have to do is look outside and see the little birds and I'm like, wow, that's lovely. But for a lot of people, it's like they get stuck in that like mental rut of thinking a certain way and then it just like it throws them completely off. And if we're going to bring this into like spirituality or whatever, have you heard about the law of attraction? Well, the law of attraction and manifestation is like a pretty common thing within the spiritual community. And it is the idea that as simple as it is, you attract what you put out into the world. And if you are constantly putting out negative thoughts, negative emotions, and you're stuck in that way of thinking, it makes it so much harder to like actually attract good things because you play such an active role in your own life. I think so many people don't even realize that. They think that life affects them. That isn't true. You affect life. You go out into the world and you create opportunities and you create your own experiences pretty much. And yeah, if you just wait for something good to happen to you, it won't ever happen. You have to go out and be an active participant in seeking out positive things for them to happen. You have to open your mind and really be open to positive things so that they'll happen to you, if that makes sense. Like, if you don't possess the capability to see things in a positive light, then you'll never feel positive because you've limited yourself to thinking a certain way. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I'm articulating myself the best because, like I said, Mercury's in retrograde, so I mean, I might be coming off completely wrong.
No,
but
you're good. Way to
yes,
give everyone a free therapy session, essentially.
Right? That's like kind of that's kind of my mindset. Even when I have really hard days, I'm like, this isn't permanent. And like, I don't want to get too dark, but especially with like suicide and stuff like that, that is a permanent fix to a temporary problem. Even if it's been happening for a long time, even if you feel like you've been stuck in this way forever, it's temporary because everything in life is. So therefore, you should just do whatever you want, take life as it comes, and really try and put good things out into the world. So that way you're also allowing yourself to receive good things.
Yeah. I think that's I think that's a good note to end the podcast with, you know. It's just very much like, take care of yourself, just really
love yourself.
Help each other. Yeah, love yourself, obviously. It's goddamn, you're just filled with introspective thoughts and feelings. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Just know, if anyone is struggling, just please help yourself, you know. Do whatever you need to do.
Just help yourself. Like, don't come to me.
I'm obviously
you can come to me whenever.
What the hell? Like now I'm gonna start shitting on the mentally ill people.
Like,
I'm just saying, everyone just help yourself, you know? Get the help that you need and, you know, love yourself, obviously. But I think that's a good place.
I love you. I love everyone.
I love you too, Jess. You're a wonderful person. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
Before I end it, would you like to plug anything, you know, anything about yourself?
Plug anything?
You know, any last words?
My Instagram's at Jess Bertan, JESSBERTAN, and my Twitter is Baby Blue Bertan. It is baby BLUBERTAN. No E in there. So yeah, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I guess.
You explained it like a fucking 50-year-old grandson trying to explain to their grandma what Twitter is. But anyways, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Please give Jess a follow. She's a wonderful person. And hope you guys have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this. See you later, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.